House at the End of the Street. Rated PG-13.
House at the End of the Street is a horror thriller about a high school girl played by Jennifer Lawrence
Alyssa's just moved with her mom to this small town.
who moves to a small town with her mom, played by Elizabeth Shue.
You know that house is the reason why we can even afford to rent this house.
And their neighbor is this young guy who lives in a fairly recent murder house.
Hey, do you need a ride?
No, I'm fine. This is my driveway.
No, it's not. You just moved in on Sycamore Lane. I live next door.
You're Ryan Jacobson.
Yeah.
So that's the basic premise. And with a cast like this, it's already worth it to see the movie. Like, even if the movie was just Elizabeth Shue and Jennifer Lawrence sitting around discussing nonsense, it would still be captivating cinema. And there actually is a few scenes like that in the movie. This is a good movie to kick off the Halloween season of scary movies, because this is really my favorite kind of horror movie. It's got a very basic setting, this small town, and we spend a good amount of time in the first act touring the labyrinth that we know is going to be more extensively explored in the second and third acts. And it's also got a small cast, so you get to know all the players. Because you know how sometimes at the end of a horror movie, it's like, oh, the killer was Simon. Wait, which one is Simon? Oh, it's this guy? What did this guy do again? Oh, I thought this was the guy who got killed. That was a very similar character who got killed before. Okay, so this guy's well, I can't really have a reaction to him being the killer now, and I will never have that reaction because I didn't know who he was. There's also no bullshit elements like a bewitched cell phone or a bewitched videotape, or like there's no witch boy, you know. The question is, oh, this young guy living in the house, is he a good guy or maybe he's a freak? But there's never the question of, is he a witch boy? Because I just lose interest, because that it rarely happens in real life that you find yourself having to deal with a witch boy or magic cell phones and videotapes. Because if you had to, like, oh, I got cursed by this videotape, now I have to apply real-world logic to solving my problem of I just got cursed by a cursed tape. Like, I have to take that seriously because now I'm gonna die.
House at the End of the Street. Rated PG-13.
Is this a good movie? Yes. It's kind of shitty, but I say that in a complimentary sense. I wasn't sure if the dialogue was being weird on purpose or if it was just inept dialogue, and I'm still not sure.
Your parents got killed.
And that's interesting. That's why this is a good movie to see at a drive-in, because it really invites reactions as you're watching it. And it's also extra scary for all the scenes that happen around a car, because then if you're watching it in a car, then you can imagine that the bad thing happening is going to happen to you. The same way you're watching any scary movie in a dark theater or a dark room, because you see a character getting chased by a bad guy with a knife, and you think, well, that someone might come do that to me now. Someone could bust down my door and kill me. And when you're in the theater, you think probably the patron behind me is gonna stab me in the head right now. So you get a little extra scared. It gives you extra fear. Scary movies are fun that way. It's less like the typical movie-going experience and more like a ride. The fear that creeps into your mind while you're watching the movie and trying to follow the story is like the G-forces tearing at your center of gravity when you're on a roller coaster, or the theme park water that crashes down on you when you're on like a log flume. It fucks up your body chemistry, and that's the fun of it. And the most surprising thing about this movie that you might not realize going in is it's not a remake. It's the original House at the End of the Street.
House at the End of the Street. Rated PG-13.
I almost didn't even see this movie, though, because it didn't have good reviews. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 14%. But you can't really look at Rotten Tomatoes for a movie like this, because most good horror movies that come out today get bad reviews. And if you really look at the reviews, there's clues in there that show you that most movie critics are not equipped to judge a good horror movie. David Rooney of The Hollywood Reporter says, feisty girl plus troubled young man plus house full of ugly secrets equals hackneyed horror movie you've seen 100 times before, even if Jennifer Lawrence keeps it watchable. Interesting. For a good example of hackneyed, look at a sentence written in the format of a first grade math equation.
House at the End of the Street. Rated PG-13.
So if you like horror movies, go see House at the End of the Street. It's got lots of homages to all your favorite classic horror films. It's got a great cast, and you could just pick any scene in this movie and just discuss it for hours with your friends. And it's important to watch horror films around Halloween. Not just ones that have like a literal plot connection to Halloween, but any horror film is good for Halloween, because Halloween is the time when the physical world and the supernatural world are at their closest. And watching horror is a way of bridging the gap and inviting the evil spirits into your world. So then hopefully you can enter the afterlife as an evil ghost. So be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can see more Halloween videos. And visit the official House at the End of the Street websites at twitter.com/houseattheend and facebook.com/houseattheend. And if you're going to go see it, you could go to an AMC before noon, because the tickets are only $6. And then there also won't be as many people in the theater. So...